When I saw Life of Pi, I had no idea what it was about. I thought it would be by looking from the poster. I didn't know anything about the movie. I knew about the poster, and the poster looked like some sort of a fantasy movie where I thought the tiger would be talking. And the poster reminded me of Thief of Baghdad, which I really like a lot. It's a 1940 movie, Thief of Baghdad, and it's about fantasy. It's about flying horses, and that's what I thought. But it's different. It's not fantasy. It's something about. It's based on a book. I didn't know that it was based on a book. I heard just before watching the movie that there is a book called Life of Pi, and it was very different, and it was in 3D. It's not what I liked about Life of Pi or anything, but it was 3D that was magnificent. It just blew me away. It pulverized me, and from the moment the movie started, since we went there just to watch the 3D, 3D is more expensive than regular movies. We thought it'll be fun, fantasy talking tiger type of a thing, and we had high expectations. But when the movie started, it was completely different. Now I remember the first shot. What happened? We had this some sort of a zoo, and it looked in 3D. Of course, it's 3D, but it was so natural as if we were inside a zoo. And the movie started, and it was perhaps one of the best movie experience I have ever had. It was as if this is the first movie I've ever seen. Uh, because we went with, there were around 1,000 people in the theater, and people were cheering, and we were seeing something as if we were inside the movie. And usually movies are not like that. At least I have seen 3D movie before, but it was not like this because it was so real, and at the same time it was uh, something very new. But the music was also very familiar because it was music that we hear here, local music, flutes, and very not so loud. Usually when you have huge blockbuster movies, the music is very loud, and you hear uh, you know percussions and strings, and you hear loud bangs. And this was very quiet, and it was a woman's voice almost chanting, and it was very new, and I knew right away this is going to be a very special adventure. And then came the next one, next image. It was a monkey like, I don't know what the thing is. It was a monkey like thing, and there was a bird hovering around the monkey, and the bird almost came out of the screen. And that's where some of the audience, they cheered, and that was also very interesting. So when I saw that, I thought this is 3D. It'll be pretty interesting. Things are going to leap out. Uh, so it's interesting. And then the titles came, so we just sat down and relaxed. The name of the director came. We saw some swans. That was interesting, and we were just relaxing. And then the name of the movie, so Life of Pi, which we have seen lots of jackfruits here. So this scene was very ordinary, but it was interesting. So it was new. It was very familiar. Now this was the first scary, really scary scene. We saw this, and there was a some sort of a lizard coming, and it almost came towards the screen, and some people were some people screamed, and it was very very interesting. So we thought, okay, let's be careful. Something might suddenly creep out. Now while watching a movie, it's a good idea to find out what happens in the beginning and the middle and the end, because every story has a beginning. Most stories has a beginning, middle, and end. So if you keep track of time, what's going on, so you can think of, so what's happening in the beginning. So if you have a something like this, so let's take beginning and middle and end. So most of the thing in the movie is going to be in the middle, because that is the movie. That's what the idea is about. So the beginning is where you understand what's going to happen. The end is, okay, fine, it's ending whatever the idea was at the beginning. Finally we get it at the end. But the middle part is really the movie, the middle. And there has to be some sort of an setup given so that we have an idea what's going to happen in the movie. So at first we have to find out who the people are. So most of the time in the beginning is set by giving us some, telling us what the story is going to be about. So we hear some, the first thing we hear, it's a narrative. Someone is telling a story here, and it's Pi. So the first person we hear is Pi, and he's telling a story to some sort of a writer. And I found that a bit boring. I thought, oh my god, I thought this is an action adventure fantasy movie, and here we have someone talking, and they're just talking. And then we have the family, and he mentioned something called Richard Parker. I thought maybe who that is. Maybe he's a special person, an uncle. But the most interesting part here of the uncle, he looked amazing. This guy was, perhaps this is my favorite character in the movie. He looks amazing. He has an amazing face, and he looks like a bodybuilder, but he's a swimmer. And the name of the main character Pi is piscine, which means in French it means swimming pool. So he's a swimming pool. So the main character, life of a swimming pool. Life of Pi means life of a swimming pool. It is also worth noting what people say when we see the characters for the first time or hear them. So the first thing that we hear is the writer saying, so you were raised in a zoo. He's asking this to Pi. Then we hear Pi. He says, born and raised in Pondicherry in what's the French part of India. My father owned the zoo, and I was delivered on short notice by a herpetologist, some sort of a vet, I guess, animal doctor. So we see a lizard, and who was there to check on the Bengal monitor lizard. This is the lizard. And then mother and I were both healthy. So he was born there. This is the leg of Pi's dad. So we see Pi's dad. But the poor lizard escaped and was trampled by a frightened cassowary. So cassowary is some sort of a bird. It's over here. It's over here. So that's what we hear Pi say for the first time. And then when we see Pi, the first thing he says is the way of God. And when we see the writer, the first thing that we hear him say is that that's quite a story. And behind him, it's interesting. We see two chairs, as if the storyteller and the listener. And this is showered with light, enlightened, I guess. And also a little bit enlightened. He's in the middle. He's, I guess, the skeptic. And this part is significantly different from the other part. This part is more technological, and this is more simple. And after that, now the other important characters are Pi's parents. The first time we see Pi's father, he's in front of a zoo. And the first time we see Pi's mother, she's in front of in a garden. So I guess it means that he's a zookeeper and it's nature. And the first time we hear them talk, the mother talks about a story of the Krishna, mythological story where Krishna eats dirt and he has the entire universe in his mouth, as if he has uh, known the entire world. And Pi's dad says just the opposite. Don't let these stories and pretty lights fool you boys. So he doesn't believe in that. It's a different story. And at the end of the movie, when we see that, there's a reflection on that, because at the end, Pi has dirt on his face, and we see the tiger not looking at all. So I guess there's a uh, both of it might be. The title is also important in terms of clue as what's going to happen. So we see this. This is green. Green generally means something color that is the go signal, or an invitation. So we see an invitation or welcome. We can call this color as welcome. That's how they use it in paintings. And we see an elephant over here. So this is welcome. And we see elephants, and there's the guy sitting here which is pointing towards the gate as if on a boat. And life of Pi, the title is here, and the color of off is different, so it separates the two words. So life as in lifeboat or something, and Pi as in pie. And this elephant is also shown in the title a number of times, and it also here. This is the Ganesh, or the elephant god. If you have seen Hindi movies, you know what this means. This means good luck or good beginnings. This means good luck or good beginning. And it has two carriers. It looks like this lizard actually. So there's a connection to the boat with this. After watching it for the second time with a friend, he texted me. He told me that the boat, the name of the boat, Simsum. It's a Hebrew word. It means a new beginning. So I guess that's the link between the elephant symbol and the beginning. So the first thing that happened, how do you know that the beginning, what the beginning is about, and what is the signal? Well, something will happen over here. Something will happen over here to give you an idea. Okay, the movie has started. This is the beginning has ended, and the middle has started. That is the movie. Here, what happens is, I hope this is not a mystery movie or what happens, who done it, what happens next, what that. But this is really a movie about, it's like a circus. It's, you go to the circus, it doesn't really matter what happens when or the story. It's just the thrill of the circus. So I'm going to tell you what the story, what happens in the story. So this is here, the storm comes that ultimately sinks the ship. So this is, they're on a ship here, and there's a storm, the ship journey. So this is the ship storm. So the ship storm, that's when I found out, when I was watching the movie for the first time. I had watched it 3 times in the theater, 3D, all great with different people. First I saw it and I told other friends, you have to watch it. Then I took my family. So when you're watching a movie for the first time, it's a good idea to have no idea about the movie, and you sit back, you relax, and keep an eye on the watch. If a movie is 2 hour, usually around 30 to 35 minutes, something different is going to happen. You will know something different. When a ship sinks, this is not someone eating bread. Anyway, so that's what happened. So the setup at first, what happened? So we hear about that his name, he's a swimming pool. We hear that there are some characters. We meet his family, and we meet Richard Parker. Richard Parker happens to be the name of a Royal Bengal tiger from Bangladesh, and he actually mentions this, and it's also in the book. And that's the idea, and they have to sell the zoo. So in the beginning, we see the zoo, we see the animals, we see what he does, and they have to sell the zoo, and they put all the animals in the ship, and they're sailing for Canada. And and the ship, there's a storm, and the ship sinks. And when the ship is sinking, that's the end of the beginning, and the movie starts. So when you, perhaps when a person, when the script writer, he had a book. When I watched the movie, I didn't read the book, and he had to find an idea. So first of all, he figures out how the end is going to be, and perhaps then the beginning, because the middle is the movie. You can figure out what happens in the movie later on. The first thing, you have to find out the ending and the beginning. Those two must be interesting. And then the movie starts, and this middle part is no talking. We have basically, we have very, very interesting idea here. So we have a person on a boat with a tiger. So that's very interesting. So think about a movie like Castaway, where Tom Hanks gets stranded on an island. Now think about he doesn't find an island. He's on a boat, and in the boat there is a tiger. So that's that's very interesting. That makes, it's more difficult. There's more drama when you are with a tiger, and it's fun. And the tiger is so realistic. I don't know how they did it. It's absolutely, you will never feel the special effects. It's a tiger, and you have a tiger, you have a boat, ocean around, surrounded by ocean, and this is the guy, and that's what happens in the middle 1 hour, and it's amazing. It's amazing. And so how do you know that the middle is over, or the movie is nearing an end? Well, you find out something. What are they looking for? Well, if they're stranded on a boat in the middle of the ocean, they're looking for land. So when you find land, when you get rescued, or when you find land that I guess that's the end of the middle. When you're put in the water, that's the beginning of the middle, and when you find land, that's how it works. And at the end, you find you find your species, and that's how it works. Now, another thing worth noting is what happens at the middle of the middle, because if this is the movie, exactly at the middle. So when I watch a movie, that's what I think about. I'm interested about what's happening in the beginning. Check your watch, find that to get a better idea what's going on. Then the middle started, okay, relax, find out exactly what happens. If the movie starts at the first show that I saw, it was at 11. It was the 11 a.m. show. So after 1 hour at 12, it's a good idea to check the watch. What happens here? What happens here? He becomes friends with the tiger. So tiger, friend. Tiger and Pi becomes perhaps friends. I don't know whether they become. How do you become friend with a tiger? I don't know. So this is what happens in the middle.